Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Kurt's Angle here on the Chairshot Radio Network. I'm Kurt Johansson, and today I'm bringing you another episode of From the Ground Up, the interview series that gives you the insight of trainee wrestlers here in the UK breaking through the industry, showing what it's like to really be a trainee wrestler trying to earn their stripes in professional wrestling. And today, in association with Reach Wrestling's Academy once again, we've got another standout from the Reach Academy, somebody who, when I first saw, really impressed me. His match with Karl Parker at All Roads Lead to Gold. And that guest is Danny Steele. Danny, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So, yeah, today all we're going to be doing is letting people know who you are, what your passion is for wrestling, and how you've got started and stuff like that. So, just delving straight into it, like your love for wrestling. Like, when did that first start?
I think it started when I was around 8-9 years old.
Okay.
I remember seeing the first wrestler I ever saw was Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And he was so much smaller than everyone else, and how he was just able to leap across the ring and do all these amazing things. And also, he was always just so colourful. He was always so eye-catching.
Yeah.
And I thought, if a man that size can do it, maybe when I grew up, I could do it. And I got the chance to do it when I first joined uni in Falmouth.
Okay, so you've grown up as a wrestler. Was it that point when you was younger that you thought, "Yep, this is what I'm wanting to do," or is it something when you was at university, you saw the opportunity and thought, "Actually, yeah, let's give it a go"?
I always knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't know at what point would be a good place to start, because at the very beginning, I've done absolutely everything. I started with Taekwondo as my very first activity, and I'm one belt away from black with that.
Yep.
So if there's any Taekwondo people, I'm a black tag. And so I've said to myself as well, once this whole coronavirus thing is finished, I'm going to go back and earn my black belt.
Yeah.
Because that's another level of legitimacy that I can add to my repertoire.
Yeah.
After that, I went and did fencing for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
Represented Wales for that. And then it was when I joined uni, one of my flatmates in first year found a little school in Bodmin.
Yeah.
And he just said, "Yeah, why don't we go here, see if it's any good?" I was like, "Yeah, it sounds all right." And went there and haven't stopped training since.
Oh, wow. Like, with the Taekwondo and stuff, it makes sense with your style of wrestling, like how great you are with the mat work and the grappling. But the fencing, that's really interesting. You mentioned you represented Wales. Like, on what level was that?
That was a national level. Yeah. So basically, the biggest one I had was there's a tournament called the Winton Cup in fencing, and that's basically where the UK split into the different regions and has a team of about four fencers.
Yeah.
And then you'd have a round robin, all fight each other, and whoever had the most points at the end and the most wins won. Okay. And it was over 2 days.
Yeah.
We came fourth in the end. We didn't walk away with any gold or anything, but just the experience to be at such a high level was such a great confidence booster for me.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone gets it where you want a bit of validation on how good you are. And
Yeah.
I think just being invited to that and being alongside so much great talent, I think that was the point where I was like, I actually could like be really good athletically. I could actually pursue this. But then university got in the way, and when I moved to Cornwall, the fencing school there wasn't very good.
Okay.
And so I dropped it, and then I needed to find something else to do to keep me busy. And thankfully, I found wrestling.
Yeah. Oh no, that's brilliant. What was you studying at university?
I'm studying fashion photography.
Okay.
So I'm just finishing up my third year now.
Yeah. Is that something you'd like to maybe incorporate with wrestling, whether it's helping people with their promos, with the looks of their characters?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of hard to have a balance between the two, and because I've tried to keep them separate, but then trying to incorporate the two has been like a bit of a passion project. So this last year for third year, I've done a book on wrestling.
Okay.
I'm not sure if or when it'll be released.
Yeah.
But it's all been with the Reach Boys and the Reach Academy, and it's been a real passion project. I've loved every second of making it.
Now that sounds really interesting, especially from all the different conversations I've had from people at Reach. So whenever that is available, like let me know. I can help promote it. We can get you back on the show as well and talk about it. But
Thank you very much.
That sounds cool, man. So like taking a step back a little bit, then you started. So you've done this taekwondo, you've done the fencing. Now it's professional wrestling. Like, what did you mentioned one of your friends did it with you, but what did your like family support look like when you told them, right, I'm not gonna do fencing anymore, despite you just representing Wales, right? No, it's not really good here. I'm dropping it. I'm gonna start training to be a professional wrestler.
At first, they weren't too happy because they've taken me all over the UK.
Yeah.
And for me to kind of just drop it, essentially, they weren't really mad, but they were like really trying to persuade me, oh no, you should really keep doing this.
Yeah.
I was like, I will get back to it at one point, but right now I want to do this.
Yeah.
Because they've known I've watched wrestling for years, and they've always known that at some point I would want to try wrestling.
Yeah.
But it just came at a time where I was doing so well at something else, just to drop it for something new, which I didn't have any training at, I guess didn't seem like a good idea to them.
Yeah. Now you definitely proven you made the right decision. So you mentioned you started looking at the schools in the first year. When was it when you started training under the Reach Academy?
Oh, I think that would have been around the beginning of my second year of uni, because as I'm sure a couple of the other Reach students will have told you, when we went to the bobbing school, it was me, Aurora, LA, and Jacob, and we all trained there together. And but things kind of just went south with that place, as I'm sure you probably understand. But it was Jacob Kitto who said, I've just done a training session with Reach, and they're unbelievable. They're amazing. You should definitely come.
Yeah.
So oh, okay. And the next week, he very kindly took me to a session, and I got absolutely beasted. The cardio they do there is like nothing I've ever experienced. It's so much harder than any trainer I've done for any other sport, because you just have to be so much fitter all around.
Yeah. No, I Aurora said something similar with her being personal training background, and I've done it in the past where I had a football background when before injuries and I started training. I was a professional football coach at the time, and so 100% like it's a different cardio. You can think you're fit because you do everything, but when you try and do that, for those listening, in case they've not listened to one of the previous ones, especially with this being from the ground up, and hopefully it does inspire those that are thinking, actually, I might give this dream a go. I might go for it. Talk about what went wrong with the original school, because obviously things went like tips up there. It didn't go to plan, and for many that could be like, nope, I'm done. Whereas you've persevered and it's proven great because you've come out the other end. So what went wrong at that first school?
I think it was just mostly a lack of motivation from the people running it.
Okay.
And so we kind of started to get the feel from them that they just didn't really care anymore.
Yeah.
So we were like, we don't really want to be putting our time, effort, and money into something where they're not invested in us properly.
Yeah.
And so when Jacob came to the prospect of another school, I was like, okay, I'll give it a go and see how it works out. And I'm so glad I took him up on that offer because I've never looked back since.
Good.
I've never been fitter. I've never been happier.
No, that's incredible. Was there a point where you was thinking, have I made a mistake here? Like before Reach, and these people weren't really giving you the time and effort you deserve. Did you think, I should have maybe stuck with fencing?
A little bit, but I think it was more, I was so driven on wanting to be a wrestler. I was like, I'm going to try anything here just so I can get a chance.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drove me to going and finding Reach.
Yeah.
Because I would have tried to have gone anywhere just so I could train to be a wrestler. But thankfully, I didn't have to search very far. I just had to do it on my second try.
Yeah. No, great. So you've mentioned, so you've gone to Reach. It's a lot harder with the cardio that they're putting you through. They're actually treating you properly as academy students. I've been saying it time and time again. I think in terms of academies and bringing through academy students onto either the academy shows or the main shows, Reach leading the way is one of the top companies to be doing that, in my opinion, and doing things correctly. So what was it like being under Jason King and Grayson as well?
It's very much, you give them respect, they'll give you respect. And you have to work for it as well. You're not just given anything. Like the spots anyone's been given is because they've earned it. They've 100% earned it. And so just all the effort they put into us, they want to see us give it back. Yeah. So it's kind of a two-way street in that respect.
Yeah. So Reach, they've not been open for what? It's coming up to the 2-year anniversary. Like, what's your thoughts on like their rise so far and you being part of that, especially with the academy shows, which I know had been selling out?
I've been so thankful to be a part of it because you can never really guarantee anything. And so for them to give me the opportunity and basically to say that we trust you to put on a good enough match with whoever and to entertain these people is such a big accomplishment to me. For them to say, we think you're good enough is really, really big for me.
Yeah. So you mentioned that Jason put you in the ring with himself at Reach Invasion back in June 2019. Would that have been your first main Reach show?
Yeah, that was actually also my first ever match.
Oh shit! And that was on the main show.
I was absolutely bricking it backstage.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to be in there with anyone, you want to be in there with the best.
Yeah.
And I was in there with the best man. So yeah, he definitely took care of me in there. But it's a different kind of animal as well when you're in there with your coach.
Yeah.
Because you want to put on a good show for everyone else, but also you want to make sure you don't mess up for him.
Yeah.
So there was a million things going through our head, but still to this day, it was my favourite match I've ever been in. And I've only been in like a handful, but that's still been my absolute favourite. That's been the most fun I've ever had in a ring.
No, that's good. So you mentioned like your mind was going overdrive essentially before that. Like, again, just breaking through. So what was your reaction when there was like, right, your first match is going to be on one of our main shows and you're facing your trainer?
At first I was like, excuse me, pardon, what? And then when they're like, no, we're serious, I was like, right, okay, I've got to kick my ass into gear here. And the next couple of weeks, they're absolutely drilling me, making sure I was ready. I think it was the go home training session. They absolutely killed me in the cardio. I think I did throw up that day.
Good lad.
Because they just wanted to make sure I was absolutely ready, which is totally fair. And when the day actually came, everyone was super, super nice to me. Everyone was really reassuring. Jason himself, very reassuring, making sure I had everything down. It was a humbling experience, but also such a lovely experience, like as a first experience as well. To be in a locker room as well with like professional athletes. For me
like
to
get some big names on the shows as well. So for you to be having your debut match in front of what you had, Danny Jones was on the same card. You've had like Dick Riley on the show as well, Eddie Ryan in the main event. So there's quite a lot of big talent there. What was the feedback you'd got from whether it was Jason, Grayson, or any of the other more experienced talent?
I didn't get much feedback from the other talent because I was very afraid to talk to them at the beginning because I was like, I'm just a measly little trainee. You are all professionals. I shouldn't be talking to you. But Jason was the one who gave me the best advice. He was like very complimentary at the beginning, but then after we'd all calmed down from the adrenaline, we then decided to say like, oh, we could have done this or this better. This is what we can work on for next time. It was like I said before, just a nice experience for me to do something well, and then to go back and say, this is what you can improve on for next time.
So before we move on through like your reach career, was you a fan of the like independent wrestling, or had you mainly really watched WWE before you started training?
I've mainly watched WWE. That was like the main focus when I was growing up. It wasn't until I was about 15, 16 I started watching any indie stuff. So when people bring up all these like massive matches from the indies, I may not know them. So then I've had all this catch-up time now to go back and watch them, and it's a different like experience to have from like a big corporate show like WWE to the indies. It gives a different feel.
So you'd wrestled a few more times on like the main show. On the 1 year anniversary, you was in the Battle Royal, which featured quite a lot of the Academy guys. First of like, what was your feeling actually being on the anniversary? Like, it's such a big show. It's as big as they come, really.
It was an honor for them to ask me, but the best bit was being in there with so many other the Academy students. It was so much fun backstage because that's what Jason had said to us is just have fun. This is the 1 year anniversary and you're all in there together. Just do as you're told and have fun. Which is what we did exactly. And we was in there with the likes of Lucky, Amadeus, people like that, and it was just so much fun and just hanging out backstage afterwards. Although we only were in there for like 2 minutes a piece, really.
But no, it's the experience. And how
Oh,
how did
100%.
you feel being in a battle royal? Like, obviously, you'd only just recently had your first match in June, and now here you are on the anniversary show, being in the ring with countless of people.
It was still quite overwhelming. Still as green as you can get. But working with so many other big talented wrestlers,
Yeah,
they're able to guide you through what you're meant to do, because like, I'd never done a battle royal before. I wasn't really sure on what was meant to be done.
yeah,
But they made sure that whatever, you got your stuff in and then you were just out of there, really. But I distinctly remember a certain PJ Jones grabbed me in the corner and absolutely walloped me in the chest. I've never been chopped like it since. And I went up to him afterwards. I was like, "You chop really hard." He was like, "Oh yeah, sorry."
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So, how was it being in front of the live crowd then? So, obviously, with these two matches, you've only really been doing your academy stuff like behind closed doors, and now you're making your debut, having your first couple of matches. How did you cope being in front of a crowd?
At first, I didn't like it. It was something very alien, very new to me, and just to gauge people's responses for me to see if they liked what I was doing or not.
Yeah,
was at the forefront of my mind for quite a long time. It wasn't until like my match with Karl
yeah,
where I started to kind of sit into it more. I'm still very nervous about it now,
yeah,
but I think being in there with Karl, he's been training a bit longer than I have, but we both know each other's styles pretty well, and so we were able to just gel with each other. And it got to a point I didn't really notice the crowd.
yeah,
They were just kind of there as a sea of people, and we just did our stuff.
yeah. So, moving on from that, then winter is coming. This is what your third show in what would have been about 4 or 5 months. And you're teaming with Joey Seven. You're against Brendan White and Josh Knott, and it's the Reach Tag Team Title tournament. So again, it's another style match for you. You've had your singles, you've had your battle royal. How did you find working in a tag team match and also working with Joey?
Working with Joey is so easy. He makes everything look so effortless. But the tag team dynamic is so much different to a singles dynamic, as I'm sure many people know. But I think the most nerve-wracking bit was being in there with Brendan White and Josh Knott, who are both very, very professional wrestlers. You don't want to disappoint them or make them look stupid by just you messing up.
Yeah.
So, again, that was another kind of situation where my mind was in overdrive. Didn't want to mess up. Wanted to look good. I didn't want to make Joey look stupid either.
Yeah.
And having to look like he's having to carry the match.
Yeah.
But all three of them, standout guys, helped me through the entire thing. And I didn't really have to do much because Brendan, basically, Josh, just beat the hell out of me.
I see a common theme happening here.
Yeah, I've only just noticed myself, actually. And maybe I need to go to Jason with that.
What was the feedback like after that match then? So you said you're in there with like two people you felt like really professional. You're in there with Joey as well, teaming with. What was the sort of feedback you was getting at this stage of your career after having a few matches under your belt?
The feedback I got after that match was I got quite a lot of feedback for that because I think people like, I don't know, I think it was like Lance Cole and people giving me advice, and I'd never spoken to them because, again, they're these big athletes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's when I started to first feel a part of the locker room, and the advice were giving me was very, very helpful. Stuff like, oh, you could have stayed down a bit longer from taking this move, sell a bit more to this place.
Yeah.
And Brendan especially was very helpful when like giving me criticism.
Yeah.
He was very into it, which made me feel like he wants me to learn from this.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he thought I did good or bad, but he just gave me some really, really good criticism.
Yeah.
And Joey as well, Josh the same. Just everyone was just so helpful afterwards.
Yeah. What was the one thing that stood out for you where it might have been that constructive criticism? Hey, you can work on this. What stands out to you from
that? I think it's got to be the selling.
Yeah.
So if you go and look back now, I might be feeling a bit too fast.
Okay.
So they were saying just take your time, let the heels work the crowd a little bit, and then they'll come to you when the next big move's ready, when they're ready to do it. And I've taken that on board now, and it's stuck with me.
No, it's good that you're taking on the criticism as well. Like, that's one big thing you need to be taking to be able to learn and carry on. And that's one of the good things we've reached, the amount of people, like the talent that is on those shows and the seminars that they get in. Like, I know, for example, one of the seminars with James Mason. What's it been like working under these sort of people and in these sort of seminars?
It has like different meanings with different people. So like James Mason, like you said, he's a WWE guy now.
Yep.
And like the insight they can give you to such a big business is amazing. Yeah. And what did he tell us? He basically just told us what it's like to work with WWE and what you kind of need to do to get a shot there. Yeah. Obviously, you need to be like unbelievably fit.
Yeah.
But different insights like what you need to do with your social media, which my social media definitely needs some work. That's the one thing I've always struggled with.
Yeah.
Is the social media side compared to how you look with someone like Karl, who absolutely relishes in that kind of area. That's one of the areas where I don't really have a great clue what I'm doing.
Okay.
I'm kind of just going through the motions and kind of doing what I think is right.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, I'm more concerned about my in-ring ability and making sure I'm not messing up and my skill set is like to a T, perfect nearly. Yes. And then I can work on the social media side a bit later.
Yeah, I get that. You and Karl, like, both great, but both work very differently. So although what he's doing with social media is working for him, yours is different, and it might be worth like maybe looking at people you kind of look up to in terms of in-ring style, see how they present themselves on social media. I say it to everybody, like with social media, whether it's in wrestling or even like in my actual job where I'm trying to find people work for a living. Social media is like a ever-growing CV, essentially, especially in the entertainment industry. But however you portray yourself as well, like if you put one thing out there that isn't politically correct or is some really bad, like messed up views, then that's going to ruin it anyway. So it's something that would come, but yeah, keep focusing on yourself before trying to build that. Essentially, just keep working, keep doing what you're doing, and show off some of your Taekwondo videos of that, of your training and stuff. That'd be quite cool. It's something completely different.
Yeah, I've never really lent into that side. It wasn't until I started the wrestling side when I thought I could include this. But no, I haven't thought about doing any videos of it. That's probably a good idea.
So, going back to it then, Karl Parker we've just mentioned, and I mentioned it to you before we went on the air and started recording. This match was the one where I'd been recommended to watch the show. Yourself and Karl, I think, second match in, and for me, I really enjoyed it. It was one of my favourite matches on the show, personally. I think you and Karl worked really well together on that. With your in-ring style, you've mentioned it with the mat work. Like, explain to people your character and what your in-ring style is.
So my in-ring style is very tech-heavy, and I like to lean into the kicks and strikes of Taekwondo, but also tech from like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So my finisher is the Kimura, which is basically an arm lock.
Yeah.
And so I've always been involved in martial arts through my life. Like, as I mentioned, my dad used to box. My mum used to do Taekwondo with me as well. So we've all been involved in martial arts at some point. And I thought having that aspect would also give me a bit of an advantage in that area.
Yeah.
But also it's a bit of a homage to where I came from.
Yeah. No, definitely. And just realised, like, nobody wants to mess with your family then.
I mean, you can try if you want to, but I don't know if it'll end up well for you.
No, definitely not. So, what other seminars have stood out for you then?
Any seminar with Joel Redman.
Yeah.
Basically. When it comes to wrestling, the man's a genius. And also his calves are bigger than my head. They're massive. I don't know how he's got them so big, but he's a real magician when it comes to wrestling as well. And he's one of the people I look up to when doing tech as well, because everything he does is so crisp, so clean. And so whenever we do a seminar with him, I try and really listen and try and really hear what he's trying to tell us to do.
Yeah.
But the most fun I've had when I've done a seminar with him was doing pinning drills.
Okay.
And because they say it's something they do in WWE a lot, and just trying to do the different pins, it gives you that insight and it gives you an opportunity to build up your repertoire. Because if they tell you one you don't know, you're like, oh, I could use that. Or just every seminar, you can take away one little thing at a time.
Yeah. So, what's the best piece of advice Joel's given you, whether it's one-to-one or in the seminars?
Ooh. I think it's listen.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I remember him telling me is just listen to everyone. Even if they don't give you good or bad advice, just listen. Just listen, take everything on board. And diet as well. You've always got to keep training. You've always got to keep eating. And I'm not the biggest guy, as you've probably seen. I'm cruiserweight, but I'm happy to lean into that. I don't feel like I need to be the biggest guy.
Yeah,
I don't feel like I'm ever going to be the same size as Joel, which I'm quite.
I don't think many people will be.
No, I mean maybe that's an unfair comparison, but I don't mind not being big. I just want to be comfortable with myself.
Yes.
As long as I'm eating well, I'm training hard, and my wrestling is on point. Because that's we did another seminar with Yeston Reese.
Okay.
Another absolute behemoth of a man. But him with his diets and his training, I mean, you just have to look at him and know he's doing something right.
Yeah.
But he was one for me that stood out as well for diet. And he was saying, just eat a lot of chicken. You're going to have to cook really boring meals, but they will work. It's consistency. But I found with this whole coronavirus thing, yes, it is very, very, it is very bad, but it's given me a chance to kind of plan and think.
Yeah.
Because I'm not working now, so I can just focus on, right, am I working out right, am I eating right? And it's given me that chance at home to work on those aspects. And now my diet's probably the best it's been since it started.
No, that's great. So what I want to ask you then, especially if it's you giving advice to people, you've been at university student, working, and on top of all this, you're having to keep in shape, you're having to eat healthy, and obviously if you're going out on any of the student nights or anything like that, it's so tempted to get carried away. Like, what's that been like for you to adjust to the strict lifestyle of a wrestler rather than being a university student, which majority we don't care what goes in the body?
Well, at first, I used to party every week.
Yeah.
Like every day was a party, but I think as I got into my second year of uni, I just wasn't into the partying side anymore, which kind of helped because that's when I started going to Reach.
Yeah.
So it kind of just naturally fell into place. But for any other students, you gotta cut out the drinking, or at least keep it to a minimum. Like go out on a Saturday night, go ham, and then cut it out for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And the worst thing as well is ordering Domino's or Mackey's. I could eat my body weight in Mackey's if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But having that restraint, it's eating well is probably the hardest bit. But for me, not going out and drinking is fairly easy because I'm a massive lightweight. So just not going out at all doesn't really affect me. Plus, my housemates weren't really big drinkers.
Okay.
So I would just copy them and just not go out drinking. We'd all stay in instead.
Yeah. So we'll reverse back to that Karl Parker match then. Like,
okay,
what was the feedback from that? Because again, I mentioned personally, I really enjoyed it. I really thought it was a really good match. The crowd seemed to be really into it. You and Karl seemed to have good chemistry there. What was the feedback from, again, whether it was Jason or Grayson? What sort of feedback did you get?
The feedback was really positive. A lot of it was just how far you've come.
Yeah.
Like you're two academy students, homegrown boys, on a main show. That was like the biggest thing I took away from Jason saying to me, "You're two homegrown boys having a singles match on a main show. This has got to show how far you've come."
Yeah.
And obviously their training is right.
Yeah.
But
so, go
on. Yeah, Jason. I mean, I've probably said this already. He's the biggest motivation I have when it comes to training because he's always on top of you, always badgering you.
Yeah.
But if he wasn't like that, I probably wouldn't be as good as I am.
Yeah.
And having that match with him, I know I'm going back to that, but having that match with him was such a big timestamp in my wrestling career and my life, really.
Yeah.
Just being able to have a match with a man like that means so much to me.
Is that a match you're wanting to happen again, especially when this pandemic's over? You're probably a completely different wrestler to what you was back in June 2019. As you've said, the feedback's just on about how far you've come. Is that one that you really want to do again?
Oh, 1,000%. 1,000%. I absolutely love wrestling Jason. He's such a charismatic man, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
But such a genius, such a knowledge in the ring, such a presence in the ring. And it was just so much fun. So I think it would only be fitting at some point in the future we get to go at it again, that would mean so much to me. But it's completely up to him whether he wants to.
Well, the way you're coming on, he might get scared of it.
No, I doubt he's scared of me.
Just to come on, like, get him into the match.
Yes.
So, one thing that I do tend to do, whether it's with a guest that I'm interviewing or a different like content creator, we normally go through like one more match. So, if you was to wrestle anybody that's currently in the Reach Academy, it could be the first match back after this pandemic. Who do you want it to be?
Ooh. Oh, I've got to think about that. There's so many people. I mean, the most obvious answer is definitely Joey.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such a presence in the ring. He's giant and he's such a good wrestler, I think. Plus, he's the champion. Like, who wouldn't want to face him?
Yeah.
Who wouldn't want that belt around their waist? I certainly do.
Is there anyone else in the academy that you think we'd really work well together?
I tell you who I would want to match with. Now, call me crazy, but it's Adira. I think we would have an absolute war.
Yeah.
I probably come walk through the curtain with my head facing the wrong way, or like my arm bending the wrong way. But I think that would be such a good match for people to watch and just watch two people kill each other.
Yeah.
I think that would be a big one.
Why that match then? You've just mentioned the common theme of you keep getting battered during your matches, and now you want to face Adira.
Well, I might as well lean into it, but I think the main thing is our styles are very similar in terms of striking.
Yeah.
Like I've got my kicks and she's got her forearms and killer, by the way.
Yeah.
But she just does everything with such ferocity, and I think it would be a good clash. Not really a clash of styles, but just my striking against her striking would be such a good combination together.
Yeah.
And then her power against like my speed and my tech would be that imbalance.
Yeah.
That opposing force to each other. I think it would just be an interesting match and an entertaining match.
Yeah, I reckon it would be.
And plus, who doesn't want to see Adira beat someone up?
Yeah, well, from what I've seen on her social media, I think she just wants to beat everybody up.
Oh, I mean, I'll happily take one for the team.
So what about the main show then? Like, is there anybody, like, the amount of people that have been on those shows, but is there anybody that's standing out of that's my dream match?
I mean, like I said, from all the seminars, Joel.
Yeah.
I mean, he would absolutely murder me, probably. He outclassed me in every sense of the word.
Yeah.
But in terms of experience and... yeah, just in terms of the experience and the whole feel of it.
Yeah.
Would be world class. But another person, actually, is one called David Eaton.
Yep.
Who I was scheduled to face.
Yeah, wasn't that at Supremacy?
Yeah, it was meant to be at Supremacy. Unfortunately, that's had to be postponed for now or moved back. But he was one person, because he's, again, a very tech-heavy wrestler.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a good matchup just to test my skills and just to see how well I can do against a top-level performer, one-to-one.
No, I think, again, it was being billed as going to be a fantastic mat-based match from that one. So hopefully, whether or not it'll be at a future Supremacy show or on a different show at Reach, hopefully that match would happen. Is there anybody else in the world that may not be wrestling at Reach, or that you're like, that's somebody I want to face, that's the goal?
Ooh. One Danny Jones is definitely one of them for me. Like he's very tech heavy. I think I kind of just want to face anyone who's very good at tech, because I think that's a good way for me to test my ability at tech.
Yeah.
And for me to build my repertoire, because that's the type of wrestler I want to be. Very submission heavy, very tech based.
Yeah.
So I just think facing as many people in that aspect of wrestling as possible is the best way for me to build my own moveset.
Yeah. Now you are one of those where it's the when people think of British wrestling, you're that technical style. And Danny was somebody that did have down here as one that I was going to see if that's something you would want to face. Obviously, Danny's been doing some great stuff in All Japan, as is Joel Redman. Is that something you want to do? Is Japan something where you're like, man, I want to get out
there? 100%. I've always said Japan and America are the two places I want to go for my wrestling career. Those, in my eyes, are the two best places to go to build a career. So whether it's New Japan or All Japan, anywhere, as long as I can get into like a dojo at some point, and it'll be absolute torture, but I will come out as a better wrestler for it. And I mean, just look at the stuff that Danny and Joel are doing, as you said.
Yeah,
they're absolutely killing it out there.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I definitely want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd suit your style essentially out there, and it'd be like we've seen Gabriel Kidd, somebody that was absolutely fantastic. He's gone to the LA dojo for New Japan, and now he's doing some great stuff on New Japan as a young lion. We've had some sort of like young lion system here in the UK, especially with Rev Pro. We mentioned him earlier with like Brendan White. He's wrestling quite heavy at Rev Pro. Is that somewhere you'd want to go? Like, is that
at some point? Yeah.
When you're thinking, if I get to Japan,
I think I need to just keep training and keep building. And then when I feel like I get to a certain point, I'll go. I think I'm ready to go to this place now.
Yeah.
So whether it's to Rev Pro or Japan, it'll just be an instinctive thing where I think I'm ready in terms of my ability and my fitness. I go, right, I'm ready to go try this now. Yeah.
So before we've gone to like the massive, like your end goals, like obviously it was scheduled 728 days later, 4th of July. Don't know if that'll still happen. Another Battle Royal match. And it's on the 2-year anniversary in what's the biggest show in the southwest of England, outside of WWE, so the biggest independent show for that area. How does it feel, again, anniversary show, being given that opportunity for the Reach Academy title?
It's unbelievable. Just think of that as a concept, though. The biggest show in the southwest outside of WWE.
Yeah. In 2 years, that's incredible.
In 2 years as well. That's almost unheard of, really. To be given an opportunity to be on a show with such magnitude, in my eyes, is unbelievable. Like, again, it's a Battle Royal, but the fact that they're saying, you're in there, is unbelievable. And it'll definitely be another like different type of beast in front of that many people as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite sure how many people hold in that arena.
I'm not too sure.
But it's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So I think a Battle Royal is good for us trainees to get a feel for a much larger crowd.
Yeah.
And again, just to be given the opportunity to be in something of that size, that magnitude, just speaks volumes for someone like me.
Yeah, no, I can 100%, like, I can imagine why. And it's one of the reasons why when Omega Luke reached out to me and was like, look, would you be interested in doing anything with Reach in terms of interviews? It was something that I really wanted to have a look at just because, again, just the opportunities they give you, and it seems like it's a common theme where everybody's just talking about like Jason will give so many different people opportunities to like what he'll face, and they're giving you so many of the best trainers around the UK, and there isn't a glass ceiling there. They're giving you those opportunities to flourish. And
no, 100%.
So what are your goals in Reach? Like, where do you want Reach to become? But what about for yourself as well?
In terms for me, first goal is getting that Reach Academy belt. 100%. Yep. I want that belt. And
what would it mean to you if you get it?
Oh man, it would mean so much to me. Like, I don't think like I can fully comprehend it myself, really. But just for them to say you're going to be the champion, you're going to represent the academy, means so much. Like, you are representing us as a family as well.
Yeah.
We think you are good enough to be the face of this. Although it's just an academy, it would mean so much to me if I could eventually win it. Like, whether it's in 5 months or 5 years, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Because they've invested so much into me. I want to invest so much back into that, and to eventually get to a point where I can earn the academy title.
Yeah.
Would mean so much on just an emotional level and a personal level. But goals after that, reach heavyweight, obviously.
Yeah.
I think anyone that doesn't want to work for a championship needs to kind of think about their goals in wrestling. Yeah. Maybe that comes across wrong. I don't know, but for me, working for a championship means so much because it shows we think you're good enough to go in with this person and then represent our brand. That's how it kind of feels to me. It might apply differently to other people. I don't know. Everyone has different goals in life.
Yeah.
But that's what my goal is.
Yeah.
People might say I'm stupid, might say I'm wrong, but that's how I view this dynamic in wrestling. Is the belt shouts representation.
Yeah.
And someone wants you to represent their brand. They want you to be the face of it. That's how it views to me. And to be the face of Reach, if it ever happened at one point, would mean everything. That would be like the pinnacle of my personal career.
Yeah.
For someone that took me in from nothing and then built me up. And for them to eventually say, we want you to be the champion of our brand, would mean everything. That would be like so big. Oh, mate.
No,
I can't fully put it into words how much it would mean to me. It would mean so much.
No, because like you said, they've invested so much into you, and they're making you essentially Danny Steele. They're making you who you are, and again, relating back to other interviews, it's a common theme. Everybody says Reach, no matter where they end up, Reach is their home.
Yeah, 100%. No matter like if I ever make it to WWE or not, I'll always say Reach is my home. That's where I started. They took me in. That's where I became a wrestler.
Yeah. So is that your ultimate goal then, WWE?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Whether it's on NXT UK main roster, WWE is it's the big one.
Yeah.
That's your meal ticket.
How do you feel then? WWE used to be something so unattainable for British wrestlers just because of there's only so many spots out there. But now we've got a brand here in the UK in NXT UK. They've had takeovers in Cardiff as well, so in Wales. How does it feel that I I won't say easy pathway because you've still got to do the hard work, but the dream's becoming more attainable. And like you said, you've had James Mason, who's one of the NXT UK coaches, being in your seminars and things like that, and being on your shows. How does it feel having a more direct pathway to WWE?
I think as a wrestler, it gives you that extra hope that I can now make it there. I can now become a WWE superstar. I still think you've got to work your ass off to get there. They're not just going to employ anyone, really.
Oh,
everyone's got a place there. And again, whether I'm a jobber there or I one day become champion, who knows? I'd be amazed to get there.
Yeah. Is there anybody on that roster that you'd love to face, whether or not that's in NXT UK or even if they do an independent show? If Reach was to bring one of them in for a show and there was to face you, who would you want that to be?
Ooh, there's a couple. I mean, Pete Dunne, one of my personal favourite wrestlers. Jordan Devlin.
Yeah.
Zach Gibson as well.
Okay.
Because Zach Gibson is another very charismatic wrestler.
Yeah.
Marcel Bartel as well from Imperium.
Yeah.
Very technical wrestler as well.
Yeah, I can see why. And so, speaking of like Marcel Bartel, is that something you'd want to be doing, going around Europe? Then is that a style that you've been looking at?
I don't know. I've kind of only really been focused on Japan and America, really.
Yeah,
those are my big goals in wrestling. But if I got to tour Europe at some point, that'd be amazing. Like to go wrestle in like Germany, France, Austria, places like that. That'd be amazing.
Yeah,
I like WXW as well. Like the hype that's gone through them, the support through WXW now has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
So to go to a place like that would be amazing.
And for me, WXW, it screams the pinnacle of technical wrestling a lot of the times as well. So with that being said, then, like, what advice would you give to anybody else that they might be thinking of training, or they might have just been starting and they're like, is this for me? Or they could be in a completely different sport like yourself, Taekwondo, fencing, and they're thinking, do I make the jump? What advice would you give them in terms of making the dream a reality? And then what advice would you give them to continue that?
You've got to jump into it with both feet. I think having a background in some form of martial art or fitness definitely does help. That makes the jump a lot easier. But it's not really a business where you can kind of jump in and out at the beginning. You've got to jump in with both feet and be there.
Yeah.
Just to like pay your dues and just to experience this whole thing that is wrestling.
Yeah.
You need to jump in with both feet. Is for people starting out is just go to everything, experience everything you can. It might not be an attainable goal at first, but just do what you can.
Yeah.
Because at the end, it will repay you and you will enjoy it. The training and the fitness might suck. Trust me, I know that feeling. But at the end, it will definitely be worth it. If you put the effort in, then you'll be rewarded for it.
100%. No, thank you, Danny. And thank you for coming on the show. Like, really enjoyed the chat. Like, such a humble person and very articulate. You can tell you're treating it as an art form, and it's
thank you very much.
It's something you're striving towards. And just let people know where you mentioned your social media. I know you've recently only just got Twitter, but you've been on Facebook as well. Where can they find you on social media?
So On Facebook, it's just at Danny Steele. Instagram is at Danny Steele Pro. And on Twitter is the same, at Danny Steele Pro.
Not brilliant. So everybody, that was From the Ground Up with Danny Steele. Make sure you give him a follow, check out his work, and make sure you go onto your fight site. That's where you'll be able to see a lot of Danny's work in Reach Wrestling. And if you've not checked out already, make sure you check out some of the other interviews that I've had on the From the Ground Up series with Reach, with LA Taylor, Aurora, and we've had Jackson Shaw, we've had Karl Parker. And coming up, we will be having the man himself, Jason King, coming on the show to speak all things of his career and all things Reach Wrestling. So make sure you check that out. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Kurt's Angle Podcast, and make sure you are subscribing to the Chairshot Radio Network to find my audio form there every week for different interviews and different show reviews. And again, you can find me at Kurt Johansson 93. You can find this podcast at Kurt's Angle Pod, and you can also hear me over at Ringsiders. So you can find me at Ringsiders Pod as well to see me working with Jamie and Callum. Thank you for listening. Bye for now.
TheChairShot.com. Always use your head.